Yeah.
All
We
right, good.
can hear you.
Okay. So yesterday we had a quick overview um of WordPress, and I explained some key fundamentals in WordPress, and we're able to look at how to install um how to actually install WordPress. And I promised to send the video on local send. Actually today I didn't even stay at home all day, so I've not had time to to work on my laptop all through the day. So but this night I'll be able to get the video done, right? So not to worry, I'll get it done this night. So first thing first, I believe we all have installed um WordPress. And if you haven't, which is understandable, I believe you have gone to download the app. Remember, I said something. I said that you would need, um, if you are using your mobile phone, you might have to use the cPanel or the WP test to do that, right? So back to the business of the day. Now, right inside here, we have the back end to our WordPress dashboard. And on this back end, we are able to, yesterday we looked at the dashboard. Why I didn't talk about this HostRinger is because the reason you are seeing this is because you are hosting on HostRinger. So the moment you are not hosting on HostRinger, you'll not be able to see that, right? So and that is why I didn't bother to put that into consideration. So now, yesterday we looked at post, we looked at media, we looked at we looked at settings, right? And users. So today we'll be looking at themes, right? Because WordPress in itself, um WordPress in itself is powered by themes, right? Sorry, just a moment. Just a moment, please. So, WordPress in itself is basically powered by two things. And the first thing WordPress is powered on is the theme, right? And what exactly is a theme in WordPress? So, a theme in WordPress is like the outfit of your website. Now, for you to be able to see your website in this interface, right? This simple interface you see, it is because it is being powered by a team, right? It is because it's being powered by a team. And now, a simple example is, think of your website like a phone. The theme is the wallpaper, the font style, the bottom shape, and how your apps and content are arranged. The theme, the same phone can look different depending on how you customize it, right? So that is also the same thing with WordPress, right? So when you change your theme generally affects the feel of your website, and we're actually going to see all of that in very practical terms. And where do you find your themes? Your themes are always under appearance, right? So under your appearance, you have the themes. And basically on WordPress, anytime you get to see like 3 or 4 default themes, and this is 2025. So when next year, you will no longer see 2023. You would see 2024, 2025, and 2026. That is actually how these themes are. Now, remember that this is the interface of our website, right? So, with a team, coming back with a team, now let's say that I come in here and click on activate. That is, I want to activate this team, I want to override this. Now, remember that this is how our website looks, right? This is how our website looks. But remember, I've changed the theme. So let me refresh this website again. Can you see that the website now has a new and a total different look, right? So which tells us that our themes actually affect how our website looks. Now, what our teams control? Our teams control how your homepage looks, the layout of your post and pages, your font, colors and menu, and sometimes things like your slider, your gallery, and your sidebars, right? So now look at, this is our about us. So even the way the pages are being built, anything you see is because I'm coming, I don't know. Good, let me just come here. So let me try team. Okay, so nothing is actually active on this, but one thing I want you to have at the back of your mind is that your team powers or changes the appearance of your website. And another thing to add up is two teams cannot work on one website at the same time. And that is why the moment I change, okay, let me just change to this 2023. So let me activate this. The moment I activate this and come back to refresh this, right? So let me refresh this. You're going to see that my website has a total um my website has a total look, right? It has a different look. So you can see that even the way my posts are, it's been changed differently. Why? Because it is being powered by a team. This is how this team has decided to make this website to look like. And again, so if you are working with one team, you can only work with one team at a time. And that is why the first principle I tell people is when you are starting your WordPress design, what I do is I make sure that I delete any inactive team I'm using, right? Because why? I can only use one team at a time, right? I can use only one team at a time. Another thing is you should know is that we have three basically types of teams, and the first one is the free teams, and these are teams you find in your WordPress team directory. And I always say it's good for learning. Then your premium teams, these cost money, right? So your premium teams will cost you money, but they look sleek and they are more powerful. And then your custom teams, right? So this is the ones you actually build from scratch. But the primary purpose of this class is, when I was starting out this class, one of the key things I said was I will not teach you people how to design websites with teams, that is with paid teams. Why? Because I want you to learn how to have full control of your WordPress website. And also it saves you, imagine most times now, for example, we have different places where you can buy teams. So we have the Envato company, then we have I think we have Envato, we have Team Forest, I think Team Forest. So I'll just open them all up, right? So we have the Envato. So now most of the teams that are actually on this Envato element are requires you to pay for them, right? So now let me do this. Envato actually comprises of a lot of things, but to find your WordPress, your WordPress teams, all you need to do is to click here, and I think WordPress is right under here. So I'll just click on WordPress and it's going to put out all the WordPress teams for me. I don't know why is this thing. I'm coming. So you're supposed to filter. Okay, let's do something. Web. Okay, so now, so I just had to. I want to see all the WordPress themes. So basically, you have like a whole lot of themes in here. You can see them. These are all themes in here. So you can decide to just pay for them, download it, and make use of it. Right? You pay for them, you download, and then another one is the Team Forest, right? So Team Forest is also powered um by Envato, but Team Forest is quite bigger actually than Envato. And then the difference between Team Forest and Envato is that Envato allows you to do subscription based, which means that if you subscribe, I think if you subscribe for like a month, which is about $32, you get to download, even if you want to download everything on their site, you can actually download that. While for Team Forest is actually it allows you to pay per you can see usually it allows you to pay every team you want to use, you pay for it. So you actually pay for it, right, individually. So that is the difference in the price modeling, right? So the two difference is just that one is a subscription base. So when you look at pricing, one is actually a subscription base. It allows you, you can see it's saying um $16 per month, but the moment you go to pay the $16, if you are paying monthly, it should be around $32, while if you are paying for 1 year plan, you get to spend roughly around $16, right? While for your Team Forest requires you to pay for each team individually. So that is actually the difference in getting to pay for these paid teams. But remember, I said that the primary purpose of this class is to help us is to actually help us design websites from scratch, right? So you don't have to always depend on these teams for your website. And also it makes you powerful. It takes you beyond you being a designer to um it takes you from a designer to becoming a developer, right? So that is the primary purpose of this class, right? So heading back to the deal of the day. Now, I said something. The moment I want to start designing, what I do basically is I try to delete all the themes I will not use. Remember that it is only one theme you get to use at a time. So now, WordPress in itself has a marketplace for themes, right? It has a marketplace. So how do I actually see this marketplace? All I need to do is click on the art theme, right? So when I click on this art themes, I'm going to see as much as I can see, right? A lot of teams in here. You get to see a lot of them. And now you can do based on latest. You can see we have like 7,460 teams here, right? We have up to that number. Now let me show you something. So I recently worked on an e-commerce website, and on that e-commerce website that I worked on, right? So let me just take us to let it load. Now, this is the e-commerce site. It's still on progress. I think what happened was the design is already ready on mobile, but it's not ready on um on desktop because we're for certain reasons. Now, this WordPress website was actually built on a free team, right? In fact, this WordPress website was built on this team called the Hello, the Hello, look at it here, Hello Elementor. This was the team this WordPress, that website was built on. You can see it's looking very blank, but the primary purpose is it's not about the team. That's one thing I just want to add up to us right now, right? That it's not exactly about the team, but it is you putting out your thoughts on what exactly you want to build. So this is the website, but this website was totally built on this free Elementor team. And as a WordPress, somebody that does WordPress, I have come to love only, I think, let me just say, I've come to love Hello Elementor, my Astra team. I think these are like the two teams I love to use any day, anytime for my websites. I don't even get to use any teams beyond these two teams on most websites I have designed, right? So remember I said something. Two teams cannot exist at the same time on your website. So if you are going with Hello Elementor, all you need to do is click on install it. Now, if you are building on your local server would actually allow you to do some certain things, but you would need data to do this. So when you click on install, the next thing you do is you click on the activate. Now, when you click on activate, remember that the previous theme we were having here was 2023, right? Which had this interface in here. Now, remember now that I just installed the Hello team, and this is the 2023 interface. Let me refresh this. And you're going to see that the website has another different look, right? And the moment you come back in here, you now see that this team that is active, you cannot delete it. But then this team that is not active, you can see the delete bar, right? Which tells you that your website can actually work with only one team. And another thing again is the fact that you can always go in. Let's say you want to be very lazy and you just need some teams, right? You can come in and say you are looking for an agro shop team. You can search. You would see some teams in here, but most times most of the teams here are not even free. When you try to use most of their resources, it will tell you that you have to be on the paid plan, right? You have to be on the paid plan. So another thing I need to add is the fact that these are the two teams I love. I love Astra team. You can see we have Astral and Astra. So I love the Astra team, and um Astra is one of the biggest WordPress teams. You can see that it has over 6,112 ratings. And I think Astra is actually being powered by Brainforce Technology, which is actually an Indian company. And the thing is, I think I sometimes 2 months ago I actually applied to work with them, and I got a full-time gig to work with the Brainforce team. And Brainforce teams here don't just it's actually a company that is not just only focused on. Now, I know the first question you're asking is how then do they make money, or what is their model? Brainforce is actually a company that builds a lot of products, right? And sometimes most of these products can be teams, some very custom teams that you can actually make use of, right? With their own technology and all that. So that is quite a lot of possibilities you get to see, as long as you know how to use these tools very well, right? So again, I can activate the Astra team, and the moment I activate the Astra team and head back to this point and refresh, you're also going to see that the WordPress website has changed. Remember, I said something. I said that your themes have effect on your homepage, which is your homepage is basically the page your website is being powered on, right? Then your theme also affects how your post and pages looks. You can see that this is our post. Our posts are basically blocks, and you can see how this post is now giving a different feel, right? And then also it affects the color of your website, right? And lastly, sometimes things like the sidebar and the rest, right? So usually, now look at something. Let me just see if I can refresh this. Let me take it backward. Now, you can see that now, even the way this blog post is, it looks different. Why? Because we are using a different team. And you can go on and on and on and on about trying a lot of teams. But one thing you should bear in mind is that two teams cannot exist at the same time, right? You can actually only work with one team at a time, right? You can work with only one team at a time. And another thing again is the moment you are using a team, your team now, remember that when we were actually looking at the team that has to do with either the 2020, I think the team that had 2023, when you look at your sidebar, you saw that previously the only thing we were having on the sidebar, I think it was the team file editor. But because you change your teams, right? Because you change your teams, you get added stuffs to work with. Now the same thing goes with, if I change this team now to hello team, you're going to see that even the sidebar in appearance have changed. So sometimes once you install a team, you get to see that some of the teams have a lot of bulky elements here, while some of them are just very, very small elements in there, right? Then another thing I added that I can remember is the fact that I said your teams also affect your pages, and this brings us to have conversation about our pages. Now, remember I said something. I said your website is usually a collection of pages, right? Your website is always a collection of pages. Now, home is a page, shop is also a page. This is an e-commerce store, right? So the shop page is also a page in here, right? Is also a page. Now, coming back to my website, you can see that I only have this page here. And anytime I'm starting my design, I always want to trash all this. I'll go to my trash again, and I'll just make sure that I delete it permanently because I don't even need this. Now, when I come back and I just try to, you know, let me just see something. Let me just refresh my website. Now, you can see that my website has another different feel. Why? Because I changed the theme. Sorry, the website is looking different. Why? Because I've changed the theme from Astra to Hello World again. So coming back here, we're going to talk about pages. Now remember that your website is a collection of pages, right? Your website is a collection of pages. And when we say something is a collection of pages, it means that 100 pages can be on your website as long as it serves the purpose. Now, remember I talked about post, and now I'm talking about pages. And I strongly remember I told us that post has to do with your blog, right? Your blog post. While pages now has to do with the elements on your website. That is the about page, the yes, the about page, your contact page, your shop page, your privacy policy page, right? Sorry, let me just have water. All right, so you have like your privacy policy page, your sample page, anything you want to have, right? But the primary purpose of what we're talking about is pages, right? So now, for you to have a page, all you need to do is to add a page in here, right? Click on add a page, and the same way you're going to have the interface the same way it is. So let's say that this is the page I want to create, the home page, right? So the moment I type home, I will come into my publish and publish it, right? I'll come on to my publish and publish it, but I want to be able to, now let me share my tab in here and do something. So let me refresh this, right? So you're not going to see the page. You can't see the page, but the page has been created. Now, if I click on the view page, I'll be able to see the view page on its own, and look at it here. Look at it in here, right? This is the page in itself. So I'm going to come back here and I'll add another new page. I want to be able to create 3 pages. So I'll create another one called the About Me page and I'll publish it, right? And I'll add another page called the Contact Contact Me page, right? So I will publish this as well. So it means that on my website, I actually have 3 pages now. So when I come back to the dashboard of my website, can you see that I have 3 pages in here, right? I have 3 pages in here, right? So now coming back to this page, look at the home page of this website. It looks empty, right? It looks empty. Not this is I'm actually on the home page. Let me go back to the main domain name. You can see that it is actually empty. So the first thing when you are having such experience is for you to go back to your appearance and you want to work on your customization, because there are key customizations you must always you definitely have to always do on your WordPress website. And when we are talking about customization, what do we mean by customization? It means that we actually have to make the website fit into what we want, right? And in this case, I want to go to my home page and change something. Now, by default, your home page will always be on your latest post, and that is because usually with the general idea of how WordPress is being built in the first place is that a lot of people see it still as a blogging tool, right? And that is why the top default reason why it is always on the latest post. So what you do is you change it to a static page, and the next thing you're going to do is, which is the most important thing, is to come back to your home page and make this home your home page, and you click on publish. Now what you are simply doing is you are telling WordPress that I don't want, this is not a blog I'm building a website that has different pages, and I want that home that I created to be my home page. Now, if you want the contact, you can decide to say that what you want as the contact is the About Me page, right? What happens is, the instead of having the home page, which is the home here, as your default first page, you're going to be having, now if I refresh it, you're going to be having the About Me page as the default page. So coming back here, I'll use my home, right? And I'll publish it. So the moment I refresh, you're going to see that I have the home, right? The moment I refresh, I'm having the home page in here, right? So coming back to my site, I'm also going to do another thing which is very important now, I which is the menu. But before I talk about the menu, I'll close this let's just stick around our appearance and our pages, right? So we're going to look at properly our navigation and how to actually build our navigation pages furthermore in class, because you must definitely know how to build your navigation pages from scratch. That is a key principle when it comes to design. Now, this brings us to the second most important thing in WordPress, which is our plugins, right? Our plugins is the second most important thing on your WordPress website. So by default, Postfinger will always want to give you all these default plugins. So again, what you do is these plugins are active. Now, when I say something is active, it is because it is active. That's why you are seeing host ringer here, and you're also seeing the light speed catch in here. So you don't, now let me show you something. If you highlight a plugin, if you highlight a plugin and come to this part and click on delete and apply delete, right? This plugin is not expected to delete, right? It's not going to delete itself. Why? Because plugins are not built to automatically delete themselves, especially once they are active. So the moment you see deactivate, it means that this plugin is active on your website. And this brings us to explaining what a plugin is, right? So a plugin is like an app you install to give your WordPress website superpowers, right? Just like if you want to access your Facebook application, you must actually install Facebook, right? You must actually install the Facebook app on your phone to be able to use it, right? You must install the Facebook app to be able to use it. So, sorry, just a moment. Okay. So, you must actually have a plugins on your website. You must have plugins, and WordPress by itself is just the basic, right? WordPress on its own is just a baby. It doesn't do anything. It cannot function on its own. So it is now the plugins that you add that gives it the power. It's just like buying your phone and you don't put SIM cards. How do you intend to make calls? Right? It is impossible for you to make calls, right? Why? Because you need to have a SIM card on your phone, right? And this also goes in line straight to also you having your plugins. So now for your website, let's say for example you want to build a store. There are certain plugins that it is needed. It is a needed criteria in building your stores. You want to do search engine optimization. There are certain plugins that does the job for you. And remember something, I said that when you are building your WordPress website, now I said that a WordPress team can actually work as one. But when it comes to plugins, you can work with up to like uncountable plugins. But I will always advise, don't have a lot of plugins on your website. Why? Because it's going to slow your website as well. So one first principle about plugins is don't put two plugins that can do one. If one plugin can do the job, there is no point making them two, right? As long as one plugin will do the job, there is no point you making it two. So it is key that you know that all you need to do every time is you can have one plugin to do the job for you. And that is why even when you're trying to install your WhatsApp gives you one WhatsApp business and one WhatsApp um the basic WhatsApp. Although personally on my phone I think I have like four WhatsApps on my phone. But that is because there is actually the customization I did separately to be able to have quite a number of WhatsApps on my phone. But most applications like WhatsApp, Snapchat, TikTok, you can actually have two on your phone. But there are customizations I would say that you can do to actually have two. Like for me, I have like two Telegrams, I have like three Facebook applications on my phone. So, as I said, but when it comes to your website, please, as long as one plugin does the job, leave it that way. So the first thing I always do when I'm starting my website is I'll click on this tool here to select all the plugins. And I remember I told you that when you come in and just click on delete, it will not work. So what is the first thing you do? You must always deactivate it. You must make the applications inactive first. Now that they are inactive, can you see that you can now see the delete, delete, delete? So you click on it and you hit on your delete. So the moment you click on delete, it's going to prompt you to delete all the plugins. So I would pull down all the plugins, and you can see the moment I pull down the plugins, this light speed catch is no longer here. Then the next thing I would do is, let me just click on the plugins again, and I'm seeing a clean slate, right? But there is something you need to notice. Every team has its own requirements, and that is why you are seeing must use teams. So it's showing me that I must use these two teams, but I don't really need them. Do you know why? Because this is actually post ringer teams. But every team you use, that is most teams you use, would actually recommend plugins you must use. And in the case of Hello Elementor was actually built by Hello team was actually built by Elementor. And that is why it is a team that it is generally acceptable by Elementor. So the first recommendation you will have is it will tell you that you should go and install Elementor, which is a plugin, right? Which is a plugin. Remember, I told you that what we are basically doing is we're using WordPress to design, to build our website. WordPress is the platform. The tool, the basic tool you're using to design the interface of your website is actually called Elementor. And Elementor, the truth is, we have a lot of page builders. In fact, based on my research, we have over, I'm coming. Let me just do something. Let me just check them out so that you see. Right? We have a lot of page builders, and in this case, let me just share my tabs. Right? These are the numbers of page builders that we have. We have a lot of them, and you can see we have, but Elementor tops it all. So why am I telling you this? Elementor currently, based on statistics, right, out of, remember we said that over 60% of websites are built with WordPress, right? 60 to 70% websites in the world is built by WordPress. And I want to tell you that over 40% of websites are being designed with Elementor. And that is why I keep saying it. As long as you know Elementor, honestly, you cannot grow hungry, right? You can't go hungry as long as you know how to use Elementor. You cannot be broke. It's not possible. So we have a lot of page builders you can use inside of WordPress. The recent one I started using was the Oxygen, and Oxygen is also another page builder, but one of the reasons I don't like it is because it is not stable, because it's a recent one. I think the Oxygen recently brought another new one that is currently reigning like that on WordPress. I said on WordPress, on YouTube. But We have a lot of page builders. And there's something I want you to always understand about relevance of something. When something is relevant, it means that there are more job opportunities in it. So there are certain people that when they reach out to you, they will tell you, I want you to design a website for me using this specific page builder, right? Using that specific page builder. So your plugins are what allows you to, it gives more functionality to your website. Now, for example, as this hello team is, it is almost 90% useless. Why? Because if you don't install Elementor, you cannot do anything on this team. And then also you should note that there are certain teams that they are not built to work with Elementor. So sometimes you see teams that have actually been built to work with probably Thrive Architect. Some are being built to work with Gunterberg. Some are being built to work with WP, Berkeley. So Oxygen is not stable, so you don't really see a lot of websites that are being built to work on those on that platform, right? So now coming back to my teams, you can see I don't have any plugin in here. And I told you that plugins add more functionality to your website. Please remember, don't go crazy with a lot of plugins. Too many plugins will slow your website and also cause conflicts on your website. And then also, before you upload any plugin, always go and check their reviews and the last time it was updated. You want to work on a WordPress website and you are seeing the last time the plugin is updated in 2020, you better run away, right? Another thing is, when you have installed your plugins, configure it properly. If you don't configure it properly, your website will not work the right way. So one key thing before I add up to plugins that I want you to take note is, your themes gives your website style, while your plugins give your website power. And it is together that your website will look very hot, else you are just having nonsense. So you cannot actually have only plugins to build a website, and you cannot always only have your teams to build a website. They work hand in hand. So to add a plugin, you can just click on add plugin and you're going to see a lot of plugins. So even the plugins have um it has a marketplace, while there are certain plugins you don't find on your marketplace. So you have to always go and click and upload them from your local computer, right? So if you have a plugin, for example, I think document, okay, I'm coming, let me just check if I actually have uh okay, I have this plugin here called the the fluent. Oh, I'm coming. I just want to look for a very simple plugin here to use, right? Okay. My laptop is when I come to look for something that I will not see it though. When I'm on my own, I'll be seeing those things here. So, okay. So I'm just trying to look out for a plugin. I can't really find any plugin that is not a pro on it on my website on my laptop. So but you can actually come in and upload a plugin. So most times there are certain plugins that will not be on this marketplace, especially if they are paid plugins. Yes, there are actually paid plugins. For example, this plugin here, Croco Blocks. I'm coming, let me show you a certain plugin. Now, because the future of websites are actually dynamic, remember I talked about how websites are now dynamic, right? So most times you get to work with a lot of a lot of plugins, right? So this is actually a plugin that has been built to help you design very dynamic websites, and that's why you see create dynamic websites with Jet plugins. Now, this Jet plugins in itself, I think the plan, the freelancer lifetime plan is about $999, which is roughly around roughly about 2 million naira to purchase it. And anytime, personally for me, if I want to pay for plugins rather than paying maybe the one that just allows me to use per year, I'll prefer to always go for the lifetime. And you can see that even though this one has the freelancer, I would prefer to pay for the unlimited. Why? Because once I exceed 500, it I will have to pay for these plugins again. So to me, it is better I go in and pay for the lifetime one that allows me to work with unlimited part of it. And all I need to do, how I pull out money for this is usually I pay for them myself, and then whenever I have a website gig, I charge clients for these specific plugins I use for my design. Right? So most times plugins like this, when you pay for them, you can see that we have a lot of Jet Elements, Jet Block, Jet Tables, a lot of them, right? When you want to install these plugins, you cannot come to this marketplace here and decide to search for Croco blocks, right? Even if you see it, I'm coming. Let me show you something. Is it Croco blocks? Right? Let's just search it. Right? You're not going to see it. Do you know why? Now look at, you are seeing jet grid, blah blah blah. But the moment you try to install this, it will still require you to put your license. Why? Because these plugins are not, they just recently add them to this place, but they are not actually built to work in here. Why? Because they are actually paid plugins. Another thing you should always take note of. Now look at, now see, this plugin is, let me see, what am I even looking for? Now you always check who actually designed those plugins, and always come in to check who owns the original plugins you want to use. This is very important so that you don't fall into the hands of scammers, right? And I can tell you that the plugins that are here in this marketplace is not owned by Croco Blocks. I'm coming. This is, it's stating Jet Monsters. So, and it is supposed to take you to Croco Blocks profile. Can you see? I know I said it. Look at, can you see? So this is not actually, so you have to be very careful, especially for plugins that are actually paid plugins. You have to actually be very careful about them, right? So that is it about plugins, and and that is it about plugins and themes, right? So please, do you have any question you want to ask before we bid ourselves good night? Please, is there any question?
Yeah, I think the lecture is quite interesting.
Okay.
Um, I think we'll have to study it much closer again. because the plugins
Yeah.
and the themes, even though I was not present during the last two lectures,
Mm.
they are they are different. I didn't really get the difference between them, the clear
Okay. So
difference.
let me. If you had actually, did you join the class in the midst of, or you were actually here from the beginning?
I
You were
was
here from the beginning.
from the beginning. I
Right.
was
Let
one
me
the one that
let me
started
explain.
the class with you.
Yeah, I know. So let me explain. Right. Let me explain it as simple as I can. Now, I told you that. Just a moment. So I need to start um a live class already. So I told you something. Which is the fact that I said that what is the first thing you should note about your teams is teams deal with how your website looks, right? And so team is like the body, and that is why I said that your team is like your shirt. You know that the way you dress, if you actually dress very well, you will see that your beauty would come out. But if you dress like a mad person, you would see that you actually look like a mad person, right? So your teams affect how your website looks. And I added that your website cannot coexist between you can only get to choose only one team. And that is why this team in here, we actually have the active team here is the Elementor, the Hello team here, right? By Elementor. And I also have another team here. So the moment I activate this team, what happens is this is the current view of my website. But virtue of changing my team, you will see that the appearance have changed. And you see that it has naturally updated the page I added. Why? Because your team is built affects the appearance of, but I added because your website, see, because of your phone is beautiful, right? As beautiful as your phone is, if you don't have application in your phone is useless. So your plugins is actually responsible for making your phone functional. So in the case of your website, the power your website has is being powered by your plugins. And I added that your plugins, right? You can have up to 100 plugins if you want to, but remember it will slow your website. But on your team, you can only work with one team at a time. That is why the moment you change on the active team, you won't see delete. But the one that is not active, when you click on it, you would see to activate live preview and delete it. Right? That is it about plugins and theme. I've explained this. When the recording is okay, you can. When the recording is live, you can always go back to check on it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Clear.
Yeah. So please, we have further questions we want to ask before we call it a day. Okay. Okay, it's fine, Phil. Please, do we have? No, it's fine. It's okay. So in the midst, I think it marks. Okay, this marks like if we don't have any other question we want to ask, we can call it a day. So once our recording is live, I will share the recordings with us, right? I'll share the recordings with us. So Please do have a beautiful night rest, and yeah, have a beautiful night rest and good night. So I would record the course on how to install WordPress on your local server, and I'll make it available to us this night as well. So you see how to use the local this thing, because almost all your practical class will be on local, so that in case you don't actually have a hosting and a domain, you can still practice whatever we are learning. So in the meantime, do have a beautiful night rest, and I think we have class tomorrow. So see you all tomorrow. Good night.